You know what? I'm gonna say an unpopular thing. I've said it before. I'm gonna say it again. You want to know who's really being prejudiced against? White men.
Yeah.
Let's keep it a stack, man. Affirmative action. All these things we have in place.
Most hated.
It's overcorrected to the point where we are literally ostracizing white men, man.
Yeah, this is a dating channel, and I've got a career off YouTube, so I really can't talk about this kind of stuff. And on most days, I wouldn't take the time out for a video like this. But
today I got time, cuz.
So today, we're gonna be reacting to Myron Gaines saying white men have it the toughest, and we're starting right now.
Brim low on my fitted, dreams has always been vivid. I'm just trying to go get it, catch me right around and I'm ignorant, I'm just rolling.
Buy my t-shirt, little bitch.
So tell them get on my level, ho. I'm burning up, see I'm hotter than where the devil go. It ain't enough till I'm burning down.
Basically, I'll tell you guys the truth. Uncomfortable truth nobody wants to hear. The common enemy is the white man. That's what everyone is trying to say. Oh, they have all the privileges. You're white privilege. You're white man. If you're a white male, heterosexual, WASP, you are a public enemy number one in the United States nowadays. I'm saying this as a colored guy. It's tough out here for them. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna attack them, right? This is exactly what Hitler did. Hey, let's find a common enemy. We unite against them, and then bang, say that we're being, what's the word? Like we're in a position of they have all the power. Mm-hmm. We're not in a position of power. Let's unite and take them down. Yeah. We're oppressed, right? Mm-hmm. So white men are the common enemy, and then feminism, minorities, transgenders, etc. They just unite together because they know that if they all work together, they'll be able to take down the alleged evil white male. But I'm here to tell you guys that I think affirmative action a lot of time is BS. You should be hired on your merit, not on the color of your skin or what's in between your pants. That's some bullshit.
That's because the reason you think that is because you're approaching this from a masculine understanding of what respect is. Yeah. Right. It is a meritocracy.
I'm not touching that white man comment. Y'all not about to get me canceled. But let's talk about affirmative action. In a perfect world, we shouldn't need affirmative action. But this isn't a perfect world. In a perfect world, I should be able to exceed all the qualifications for a job and get picked. But we both know Brad Miller, a white name on a resume with less qualifications, is more likely to get picked for a job than Darnell Johnson with more qualifications on his resume. And here's some uncomfortable truth. I'm not even mad at it because I'm calling Darnell over Brad any day because I want to be around people that look like me, and I also want to help my people.
The main problem with the black community from a white people perspective is Democrat policies. They're the ones, if you go look at all the inner cities, they all run by Democrats, right? And then they turn around and say, oh, it's not us that's the problem, it's racism. Who? Earl with the pickup truck and the Confederate flag that works at JD's Auto Parts?
Yeah.
He's not affecting.
He ain't affecting anything.
He ain't affecting.
I'm an independent, so I call out bullshit when I see it, on the right or left. But according to Hotep, only poor white people are racist. But was Earl from the auto shop responsible for redlining? I don't think so.
The HOLC created residential security maps, and these maps, they're where the term redlining comes from. Green meant best area, best people, aka businessmen. Blue meant good people, like white-collar families. Yellow meant a declining area with working-class families. And red meant detrimental influences, hazardous, like foreign-born people, low-class whites, and most significantly, Negroes. Again and again on these HOLC maps, one of the most consistent criteria for redline neighborhoods is the presence of black and brown people. Let's be clear, studies show that people who lived in redlined areas were not necessarily more likely to default on their mortgages, but redlining made it difficult, if not impossible, to buy or refinance.
The Fair Housing Act wasn't passed until 1968. And once again, I don't subscribe to the victim Olympics. If we gotta work twice as hard, then we'll work twice as hard. But the Civil Rights Act ending segregation happened in 1964. And just because segregation ended doesn't mean the hate stopped. My dad was born in 1963, so most of our parents and grandparents lived through segregation. So I really dislike when people try to discount racism like it happened 400 years ago. And some of you are wondering, who's the black guy? Roll a clip.
And now in the angle, I told you about someone who wanted to see just how far Starbucks liberal guilt would go. His video has gone completely viral, so we asked comedian provocateur Brian Sharp to join us this evening, and there he is. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, Laura, how are you?
You totally fooled me, okay, because I played this on my radio show this morning. My producers and I were screaming. We're like, this sounds... If I didn't know better, it sounds like you sound like Chris Rock. I mean, it's so funny, and that poor girl in Starbucks is ready to turn over the keys to the shop to you. She was so worried. But tell me why you did what you did by asking for reparations going into that Starbucks and saying, "I want my free coffee" for what you did basically in Philly. She said, "Oh, okay, I'm giving you the coffee."
He's the guy that went viral by going into Starbucks and convincing a white female employee that Starbucks was giving out free coffee as reparations. And to that I say, you got too much time on your hands, bro.
Get some help.
And bro, you just went to the wrong Starbucks. You should have tried the Starbucks these guys went to.
The manager said that per store policy, they couldn't since they didn't buy anything. When they wouldn't leave, she called police.
A group of males refused to leave.
Some witnesses say the officers overreacted.
They're just sitting there quietly, sitting on their phones, like chatting, like just like everyone else in Starbucks was.
Philadelphia's police commissioner says the officers didn't do anything wrong.
They followed policy. They did what they were supposed to do.
The men who don't want to be identified by name were held in custody for 8 hours before they were released. Prosecutors didn't file charges, but their defense lawyer says this wasn't about the law. It was about bias.
Yeah, and that Starbucks, you would have got locked up for just sitting. And then you said this, which I thought was kind of stupid.
If you're a black man, as I am, in America, they will not hand you a microphone unless you follow the liberal narrative.
Can someone tell him he's on Fox News? And I don't think the microphone gets any bigger than that for conservatives.
You know what? I'm going to say an unpopular thing. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. You want to know who's really being prejudiced against? White men.
Yeah.
Let's keep it a stack, man. Affirmative action, all these things we have in place.
Most hated.
It's overcorrected to the point where we are literally ostracizing white men, man. We want to hire colored people. We want to hire women.
Serious question, y'all. Why do we even need to hire colored people and women? Bro, you're black. Oh, yeah, because I need a job.
We want to, if you're a colored woman, you're going to be, there's a higher probability that you're going to get hired for a job, you know what I'm saying, over a white male.
I guess that's another reason why Myron dislikes black women, because they get hired over white men.
Allegedly. We've done all this pretty much to mitigate white male influence. I get it. Oh, they had all the power, so now we got to correct for it. All right, cool. We've overcorrected now.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Where did we overcorrect? What the fuck are you talking about?
It's completely okay to treat Caucasian men like shit in today's day and age.
It is. And
I'm gonna speak for them. Fuck it, because they can't even say, if they say, they're gonna be like, you're white privilege. All this extra bullshit. It's like,
let's correct me if I'm wrong, but white privilege is a simple concept. It simply means you're not poor because you're white. Now that doesn't mean white people can't be poor. It just means you're not poor because of your race. And that's how I've explained it to my Caucasian friends. Just like pretty privilege, it doesn't mean pretty people can't be poor. It simply means you're not poor because you look like fresh.
Yeah, I hit her up on that first super chat. What do you say? I wanted to tackle that one, the $5 one. Yeah,
bursting with
that one. I don't like that term. Yeah, I don't like that term, critical race theory. History either happened or it didn't. So here's the funny part.
Okay.
You see, the white liberal called us the N-word. And when they called us the N-word, they turned around later and turned it into a class. They turned it into a science. They turned it into an industry. They turned it into a market. They called us the N-word, then turned around and sold it back to us. Called it critical race theory. So they took their own history of racism, their own white liberal Democrat history of racism. And then they turned around and commodified it They made it a product, something they can sell, something they can package, something they can ship, something they can sell you. And we bought it. Everybody went out and bought it, especially during the 2016 election cycle under Trump, right? Everybody bought into this whole thing about racism. But that's the slickness of the white liberal, to take your oppression and then sell it. They oppress you and then sell it. That's what the white liberal does. Then what they do is they deflect and blame the others for their own wrongdoing. You remember when they took down a statue of Robert E. Lee? Mm-hmm. Robert E. Lee was a Democrat. So what are they trying to do? It looks like they're trying to erase their history, covering their tracks, because they don't want to be reminded of their racist history.
Oh, I bet that sounded real smart to a whole bunch of dumb people. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, especially when it comes to history. And it's funny that he's talking about liberals erasing history while Republican states recently decided to stop teaching African American history. And once again, I'm independent. But since he brought up history, roll the clip.
Today's Republican Party opposes big government. It's culturally conservative. Its demographic support is strongest among white voters, and it usually dominates elections in the South. The party's 2016 presidential nominee has been heavily criticized for inciting racial tensions. But things weren't always this way. Over the past 160 years or so, the party has undergone a remarkable transformation from the party of Abraham Lincoln to the party of Donald Trump. To understand how the GOP got this way, you have to go back to when it first came into existence in 1854, just 7 years before the Civil War. There are two parties at this point, the Whigs and the Democrats. America is quickly expanding westward, and there's an intense debate over whether or not new states should permit slavery. The Democratic Party, with strong support in the South, has become increasingly pro-slavery. But the Whigs are divided on the issue. Their northern supporters are really afraid that the growing number of slave states would have too much political influence, which they feared could really hurt free white workers economically.
So the government didn't end slavery because it was the right thing to do. You see, all Caucasian people didn't own slaves, and the Caucasians that couldn't afford slaves had to work. But why would someone pay a Caucasian to work when you could just buy a slave and never pay the slave? Also notice that the Democrats originally resided in the South.
So in 1854, the country is debating whether or not the territories of Kansas and Nebraska should allow slavery. The Whigs can't agree, and the party ends up collapsing. The former Whigs in the North form a new party that will fight against letting slavery expand any further. They call it the Republican Party. By 1860, the Republican Party has become increasingly powerful in the North, enough so that a little-known Republican named Abraham Lincoln wins the presidency.
So you see, when you hear Republicans say they're the party of Lincoln, technically it's true. But come on now, this is Lincoln's electoral map. Lincoln won all the northern states, and that video explains it all. So Republicans today are not the party of Lincoln. And I won't bore you with the history lesson, but I left the video link in the description if you want to learn. And the funny thing is, a couple guys in their chat already knew their history.
The party's absolutely flipped. If you need proof, just look at the election map and say 1954 and prior compared to 2020. The answer will jump at you, okay? The Sikh Nova, what do you...
They don't want to talk about that, though.
And then, no, Hotep, suck of the values. The two parties represented change over time. The Arcist Democrats of the past are the Republicans of today. Nice try. OJ, you want to respond to that?
I don't respond to people who aren't on my level intellectually.
Oh, shit. Okay. Nope. All right, Kal-El. Dope to see Hotep back.
I know this ain't gonna work, but the next time my wife catches me in a lie, I'ma just say...
I don't respond to people who aren't on my level intellectually.
And guys, I just hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And if you think I'm making it up, just know
I don't respond to people who aren't on my level intellectually.
This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I will say it because a lot of people ask me about this. I know this conversation is probably going to get hated on by Black Twitter or whatever it may be, but I'm just going to say it. Racism is almost self-perpetuated. And what I mean by that is that and I'll use the African American community as an example, because as much as you guys want to say you're an African American, I actually am. My parents are from Sudan, which is in Africa, and then I came here. Then they came here in the 80s, and I was born in the United States, which I'm the definition of African American.
He's more African than me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm from the islands, man. Barbados.
These dudes want to sit here and be like, I'm whatever. It is what it is. And here's another thing too, like. Just because you're not a part of a race does not necessarily mean that you're not able to speak on that race. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. That's like me saying like, that's like me as a man saying like, oh, I can't speak on female situations. Absolutely I can. You can speak on anything if you're educated to an extent where you know what you're talking about. What I will say is this. Yes, there were horrible things that happened in the past, the United States, slavery, etc. It is what it is, right? But what I will say is that we're at a time and place now where you can rework the path. We're in a position right now where we have situations that allow people to progress. You got affirmative action, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And, we have corrected to a degree. Have we corrected 100%? I'm not going to say that.
But didn't he just say we've overdone it earlier?
But what I will say is that a lot of people like to say, it's the man. It's the white guy. Mm-hmm. They like to point fingers at everyone else except for themselves. No. Okay?
I agree. Yes, I wish life was fair, but it's not. And like I said, if we have to work twice as hard, I'm gonna outwork them.
Stop the cap.
Yeah, I was tired.
The victim mindset is continuously perpetuated. And I will say this too. It's completely okay. We've had on this podcast women come in, colored women. Oh, that white boy, he's a C and with ER, right? Mm-hmm. The racial derogatory term for a Caucasian person, right? Mm-hmm. It's completely acceptable to call white people Graham Sears, right?
So y'all say the N-word, but you won't say cracker? Interesting. And then they start talking about police, which is interesting because allegedly he used to be an FBI agent. Roll the clips.
My name is Amber Fuddle. I was a former special agent of Homeland Security Investigations. I worked for the agency since 2010 as an intern. I did criminal investigations. I resigned from the job in 2020. Okay.
Mr. Organic.
Yo.
I'm out. Yo. So imagine an interview with Mr. Organic and his past life next to Myron is like, oh shit.
You guys want to know something real? You guys want to know why I'm so tight with Mr. Organic?
Yeah.
Because we literally lived on opposite sides of the law. I used to literally investigate the crimes that he used to commit.
Oh man.
Three of them,
Mr. Organic,
shout
man.
out to my man, Mr. Organic, bro. That's my fucking brother right there, man.
God, man.
What? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
So like, I'm new to the States, right? I've been here 6 years. And my mom always told me, Walter, when you go to the States, be careful. You might get shot by cops. And I'm like, why would I get shot by cops? I'm not going to say anything crazy. And what happens is I see all the time on these videos, people are like, yo, I'm not showing you my ID. Who the hell are you? Why you pulling me over?
Yeah.
I got pulled over 3 times, right, bro? 2 were white guys and 1 was a black cop, right? 2 white guys. I was like, yo, 2 white guys. I was like, yo, hey, officer, how's it going? What did I do wrong? Okay, cool, no problem. Like, you know what? Have a good night, sir. You cool about it? Everybody's cool, happy, right? But the black cop was like, black chick was like, yo, like, I'm having a bad day. Fuck it, I'm gonna give you a ticket.
Fresh stayed lying. He was probably speeding. The black cop pulled him over and gave him a ticket. But I'm pretty sure they didn't say, I'm having a bad day.
So, but see, it's how I approach the, the scenario.
Yeah.
I wasn't mean and telling him like, oh, this and that. I was like, you know what? Good day, officer. How's it going? Boom, boom, boom. But it's how I approached it. Yeah. So I just feel like it's always accountability on the person's part.
Yeah.
Not always the other
they're
gender.
They're complaining about what happened, but what they don't realize is a lot of the times when these shootings happen, these altercations happen, it came because the person was aggressive in the beginning. And the thing is, guys, you got to remember that police officers are trained in the United States to meet force with a force just above it to subdue the problem.
And that's the problem. Most people aren't criminals. So why are you using excessive force for everyday citizens? I'm happy Myron and Fresh haven't experienced being racially profiled. But you see, I grew up in New York City during the stop and frisk era. I've literally been slammed by the police for no reason. And I'm not gonna lie, I cried a few times. And after they assaulted me, no apology, they just said, oh, you fit the description. One time, I watched 8 police run towards me. They were literally a block away. So I moved to the side and waited because I'm a good kid and I didn't want to interfere with them doing their job. But when they caught up to me, 50 seconds later, they slammed me. And I'm pleading with them, asking them why they slammed me, cause I was simply standing there, not going anywhere. And one of the cops said, "Shut up, you fit the description, give me your ID." And after they let me go, 5 minutes later, my friend comes limping up the block. Same thing happened to him. But he was light-skinned and 6'2" with braids, and I'm brown-skinned, 5'10" with waves.
How many times have you been stopped and frisked?
7 times.
7 times?
Yes, sir.
And you're how old?
17.
Man, listen, if I started telling y'all stories, we'd be here all day. So I'm gonna move on.
So people would never understand the issues and problems that law enforcement officers come into play where their life is on the line and they don't fucking know you. They don't know what's in the car. They don't know what's going on. All they know is that this person is acting extremely aggressive off of something that's minuscule, and we didn't have to go with that. We got to have some accountability here. It's not because of the color of your skin. It's because of the way that you acted after the fact. If he comes in and he has preconceived notions about colored people, don't perpetuate the stereotype.
Making it worse.
You're making it worse.
So, you know,
real quick at the super chats, and I love the chat. The chat's divided.
They go crazy,
some of them,
man.
Some of them are like, "Oh, Myron, you're all for fresh. You guys are coons." Blah, blah, blah. Guys, what I'm saying is this: there's good police officers. There's bad police officers.
I agree. And here's an unpopular belief: being a cop is a tough job. But you spoke of accountability. But what about the accountability for the bad cops? See, there is none. Which makes it hard for people to trust all cops. Because how do I know if that cop is a good cop or a bad one? The same way he doesn't know if I'm a criminal or a good guy.
But you want to know something? When they pull you over and you act crazy, you act crazy, what you're basically doing is you're forfeiting control of the situation to them. You're giving them leverage to fuck you up.
Yep.
You're giving them leverage to escalate force. And what you need to do is always stay at the lowest level possible so they have very little leverage to fuck with you.
Yep.
Do you understand, guys? I'm actually giving you guys the power by telling you not to react.
Yep.
For all you guys out there that want to be, pro-black, blah, blah, blah. Martin Luther King got a lot of things done by being peaceful. Why? Because he understood that by being peaceful, you're gonna be able to get things done. It is what it is, man.
No, he didn't. I have so much respect for the MLK generation because I am not that tough. I don't know if I'd be out there with them, marching and getting my ass whooped. I'm just being honest, but Martin Luther King got things done because he was able to leverage the black dollar simply by boycotting. So he hit them where it hurt, their pockets, and he also leveraged the media. You see, if black people were getting beat up and no one saw it, no one would care. But with the power of the media, the world saw it, and it was embarrassing. And the same thing is happening now because of the cell phone and body cameras. Bad police are being held accountable.
And I'll say this, like the protocol, like the reason why I'm saying like, don't escalate the situation, keep it calm. You know, if you got to record the situation, I'm not saying don't protect yourself. What I am saying is that the rules are the rules, and the way police procedure is the way it is.
Yeah.
So
we should try to improve it so people will over time learn to trust the cops again. And cops can do their job.
Feelings. I'm telling you how to deal with the what is. They are going to escalate. They are going to fuck you up. Don't give them an excuse to fuck you up.
You should have took that same advice and not spoke on Preacher's wife. Because now he wants to fuck you up. So if you want to see why Myron and Fresh might get their ass whooped, check out my Myron Gaines Exposed video. I'm out.